All right, the property prequel, be in the know before you buy. I just want to touch on, as I always do, reflecting back on last week's ep. If you have a look, we had Emil Jurassic. You'd be sleeping under the rock if you haven't heard Emil online or out and about. He's a real estate entrepreneur, business founder of a few companies. But most of all, I actually got a lot of feedback from the podcast around his self-development. He's obviously very experienced and just his Thrive for Life. He's got a company called One Life Club, and he wholeheartedly believes you only got one life and you might as well have a crack. So give that one a listen. Let me know your feedback there. And as always, appreciate all the love here. Really do appreciate it. The more people can share it around and give me feedback, we can work on bigger and better guests and try and add more value each and every week. So today's no different. We are very fortunate. We got a superstar on the show today. We've actually got Ania Forster. So Ania leads the charge for the one and only Zephyr and Stone. So I remember Zephyr and Stone popped on the scene. We can dive into it with her and how it all started. But I remember Zephyr and Stone. The name really caught me. And just if you're in the real estate world, you definitely know this name. They've been popping off for a few years. So Zephyr and Stone, they're a home design hub. It's an education platform. We can dive into a little more and find out a bit more around the one who's leading the charge, Ania Forster. Thanks for popping by.
Thank you. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here.
We were just chatting off air, and I just asked Ania, "Where's the background? You're a Polska as well,
Polish. Yep, through and through.
Born and bred.
Yep, born in Poland.
What age did you come to Australia?
I was 5. Yeah, just
okay.
before I was 5. So
Yep.
couldn't speak a word of English.
Really?
Yeah. No, it was probably overwhelming. I can't really remember it, but and apparently I still had an accent in high school, but moving to Queensland, I think you lose that accent very quickly.
Yeah. I was going to say, so you came literally born in Poland, and we joked off there because I'm actually half Polish as well. So we were laughing on air, off air that the vodka hits different over there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's something different. So you move over. What was it for you? Like I remember my dad telling me he grew up in that POW sort of time, prisoner of war, and sort of fled and ended up in Queensland as well. What was your family dynamic?
Yeah, we were refugees actually. We left when I was about 3.5, and we're in Austria for a year, and then came over and landed in Melbourne, and Melbourne's pretty much where I grew up. But yeah, it was pretty
wild.
Tough times.
Yeah.
It was like ration cards, and it's pretty crazy to think, But yeah, obviously, really fortunate to have landed in Australia, and it's a better place now. But and it's a beautiful, beautiful country. But very fortunate to have landed in Australia and the opportunities that you've got here.
Yeah, it seems wild. Hey, like I had some stories with Dad. Like you don't really like he was actually on. I think he was born actually in Germany because his parents were fled. Like they fled, and then it's just like the Hitler days, and it's just like wild. Like you don't even fathom what our parents or your grandparents, would have went through. Hey,
yeah, the problems that we've got these days are probably quite so
wild.
Yeah, insignificant in comparison.
Wild. So ended up in Australia. So grew up in Melbourne.
Grew up in Melbourne, and then moved to Queensland in my early 20s, and
nice.
Actually spent 5 years in the Whitsundays first, and then landed on the Gold Coast. And
really?
Been on the Gold Coast for 15 years now, and never looked back.
It's
absolutely
good.
Love the Gold Coast.
It's a good spot, eh?
Yeah.
Tell me about the Whitsundays. What was the quick stop off up there?
That was sort of like, I don't know, just something different. I was young, and just having a bit of fun. And actually, that's when I really started to get into property.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Maximise just down the road, and that was really cheap then, and the mining boom was just about to kick off.
What would this be? Early
like probably 2000
04s and 05s kind of thing?
03, 04, around
pumping,
then. So it was really, and we landed there, it was just before all that took off. Wow. So we saw the opportunity because I've always been passionate. I was going to property seminars when I was 18, so always been passionate about property. So, was looking to buy, and flip houses. So, I started there by buying, renovating houses, and then that turned into like buying blocks that you could subdivide. And but it was but it was also a great place to live, And I think coming to the Gold Coast was because it was just a little bit too quiet.
Yeah.
And just wanting to do something a little bit different.
Yeah. And you just said it there, which I was unaware of. So you've obviously got a bit of a property background, which I'll be keen to dive into that. It seems like a pretty good foundation. I remember we had Darren Palmer on here, a previous ep. If anyone hasn't listened to that, Darren Palmer from The Block, really cool story. But same thing, he's actually a very savvy property investor in his personal life. And you combine that, it sounds like you may have a similar story where through that process you gain these little, you realise, I'm good at design and aesthetics and that. So we'll dive into that in a sec. But like through school and everything, like did you go to uni? Like what was your path? Where do you think Ania would be post graduation?
Well, I actually went to uni and I did nursing. So that was my first career.
Interesting.
But I was obviously into property. So as soon as I started flipping houses, that sort of was just a side gig to,
Interesting.
to fund so you could get finance.
Yes.
So property was always the thing. And I think I did nursing just because it was just a thing to do. I wasn't really, you think you need to go to uni and you do something, but it wasn't. I loved it. I loved being a nurse, but it wasn't my thing. It was definitely my thing was property. It's what I'm passionate about,
So it sounded like you had your nursing gig. What age did you get your first ever property?
I think I was about 23.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so pretty early on in the piece. Awesome.
Yeah. And it was obviously very cheap, like in those days, and that was up in Mackay. So,
awesome.
That was.
Do you remember the suburb?
The first one was in North Mackay.
North Mackay, yeah.
But most of them were North Mackay and like Central Mackay.
Yeah.
West Mackay.
Just bread and butter, kind of brick and tile, low set kind of things.
That's a really cool little town as well. Like big country town.
Yeah. My brother used to live there, and same thing. I was just obsessed with real estate, and I'd look at all North Mackay, and that little, they'd done a few developments over the harbour.
Yep.
Then there,
yeah.
I was like, oh, this area's cool, and then started popping off, hey, like
Definitely.
that mining boom.
It went up very quickly. I mean, there was just such a shortage of rental properties, so I just kept buying properties, looking for properties that you could subdivide always, like where it was a corner block and the house was off to the side. They were the best ones where you could literally just put a fence down the side, down the middle, and then split off the block.
We'll talk about that in a second and what you look for. We also had Smout Property on a few weeks ago.
I saw that, they're great.
Becky Smout, both of them are whizzes, but she was a teacher, same thing, and she used to talk around the Jewel Street front. She'd always be looking. So I'm keen to dive into what you look for, but on that, so doing the nursing, doing the property, where'd you get that knowledge from? Like because you're talking some high level stuff there. Where did you go to the seminars and
seminars? But I think I ask everyone every single question to the point where they just literally want me to shut up. Like even when I'm on site, I think a lot of my stuff, because then, been developing now and, building, developing, designing for 20 years. When I'm on site, I ask everyone everything. And so a lot of my knowledge is being learned on site. And it's just built. I mean, the first house, one of the first house I ever did, I painted every room a different colour. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. But, and that's, it's just been learning. And then obviously, I do have education in interior design now. I never finished my interior design course, but I've done it. I started it twice, but each time was just way too busy with work and doing the job. So
would it be right in saying a statement, I'd love to hear you answer this, like education, like, getting the certificate versus doing? It sounds like
I think there's value in both, because when I did my interior design course, I learnt so much. Like you really analyse things, but then having my business, because my business now, Zephyr and Stone, is so educational, I'm educating all the time, so I'm learning all the time and I'm reading all the time.
Yeah.
Because, when you're educating, you're also, you're writing something and you look something up. So, it's a bit of both. You can't, I feel like they go hand in hand. You can do one or the other. And I think if you're passionate, anything you're passionate about, you never want to stop learning and you just keep trying to better yourself in. So I think they can both be great. And then obviously you have to have a bit of a knack for it, I think, as well.
Yeah. So key takeaway there I'm hearing is be willing to learn, be a learner.
Open-minded. And I think listen to people and ask questions, like never discount anyone's advice. Like no matter who it is, I ask the question.
Yeah.
And, whether it's like every trade on site, they all sometimes they get discounted, but they are on site every day. They know everything inside out. So, you know, even as a designer, if you don't have that experience of how something works or fits together in a house, then you can design something, but it might not work. So they're actually installing it or doing it, and they can give you so much information that's really helpful.
Love that. I heard this one the other day. I was listening to a podcast. It was like a self-development thing, and it was talking around one of the biggest traits of the most successful people out there is they're curious.
I'm very curious.
Yeah. So and that really stuck with me. I was like, it's so true. Hey, like I've chatted to some those people who think they know it all will always have a ceiling. It's always, I've spoken to some really successful people in different fields, and I remember even when I was a professional athlete, the players they've played Origin, they're still super curious. Like they're asking and wanting different coaches, and so it seems the same. And you'd see it as well, like me in property.
Yeah.
Like you see them really savvy people. They're always willing to talk to the tradies, understand what might be better. They'll go to seminars. They'll do self-education. So sounds like you had a good sort of foundation there. So you've flooded you learnt, you're trying to get into it. Tell me about the first sort of few properties or your first few flips, like any key mistakes you'd like to pass on to buyers to not do?
Well, besides painting every room a different colour. I don't know.
Why don't do that by a second?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Why wouldn't you do that?
You want connection.
Flow.
You want the home to feel like a home. Like you want every room to feel like it's an extension of the last room. Like it's almost like think of it as one room, so everything has to fit together.
Yeah.
And then it feels just easy and natural, and you know, and I think from developing from proper, like, so actually the first few projects, the thing that I sort of talk about flipping, but we actually tried to keep the properties as much as possible. So, you know,
I was going to say, what was the strategy? So you'd buy and try and find things where...
So buy, rent it out. And, you know, so subdivide.
Just cosmetic reno?
Yeah. It depends. Like we did full house renos. Like I did everything from tiling to painting to everything. Like I've done everything. And so be cosmetics, everything. So then you'd, subdivide it, build a house next door, and then, you know, rent that out as well. So the thing that... So because we were doing that and looking to, you know, sell the house maybe in 8 years, you know, reduce our capital gain, like, you know, gains and things like that. It was, the tax we were paying on our capital gains.
Yeah.
So because I needed the properties to be still on trend 7 or 8 years down the track. So that was where I think my design style came in, and the painting all the rooms the same colour, because you want the home to still be on trend. You want it to be easy to sell. You want it to really basically appeal to everyone. And you know, and that, so there was also a lot of, so then I learned really how to research as well. You know, an area, which I think that's probably what you do as a, you know, because you being a buyer's agent, you need to, you know, property, you know, suburbs inside out, you know what's selling. And I think, you know, unless you're a full-time investor, like that's what, you know, to buy property well, you need to do that. You need to know the suburb inside out.
Yeah, I always say that to people. There's a key difference between buying property and buying property well. Because, Ania, you'd probably agree, it's actually not that hard to buy a property. Like, I mean, my little nephew could do it if he really wanted to. You fill out a contract. But the difference in buying that versus buying it well over the macro 10-year period, 20-year, 30-year period is not $100, is not $1,000. It's 6 figures difference, isn't it? Yeah. And because compound and location, you got to know the streets and whatnot. Just on the first one there, it sounded like the strategy was you were finding properties where you could keep the existing home, subdivide a block, and then would you build So
a brand new home.
Just want to touch on that because that's a strategy people, I know a lot of people do really well in. I know a lot of people are interested in, and I know a lot of people who have done it poorly as well. So quick tips around that. Great strategy. Key tip, what sort of block sizes were you're looking for, frontages and things like that? And where would that house be played? What did you look for ideally?
I've done that on the Gold Coast, and I did that in Mackay. So, you know, looking for corner blocks, but we also did things like speak to council sometimes even before we signed a contract to find out. Because sometimes we got away with a few that were Res A, but they were in an area that was sort of transitioning.
Yeah.
And they were corner blocks, and you also weren't paying a premium for the Res B.
Love
because,
it.
you know,
Good
so
tip.
and so we did a few of those. And then on the Gold Coast, I mean, the size, the block sizes there were around 800 square meters, and on the Gold Coast they're probably more around 5 to 6.
Yep.
But you know, and on the Gold Coast we've done I did a lot of duplexes.
Yep.
But then also found duplex sites that were just that had that wider frontage, so then you could do two standalone.
Yes.
Like it's still duplex zoning, but you could actually do 2 separate dwellings that weren't attached.
Yes.
So, and they were only about 570 square meters. Like they'd have an 18-meter frontage, and I think it depends on the council. Like different councils have different regulations. So,
really good point there Ania made is the frontage. So what she's talking about there is from the streetscape. Obviously, if you're looking at it from left to right, that's the frontage of a property. And she made a really good point that it sounded like you were always, well, you were open-minded to trying to get it detached. Dwelling. So the difference between attached and detached is obviously the common wall in the middle. I can tell you now, as a buyer's agent working with clients, that can be 6-figure difference in terms of what it's huge.
Well, you also might have separate driveways then as well. Like we have the wider frontage because, you know, I've done a lot of duplexes actually in Paradise Point, and there, you know, we did a lot that had the 15-meter frontage, one driveway, but then when you had that wider block, you could do the 2 driveways. They're 2 standalone houses, you know, and they're big homes. They're 350 square metre homes. They're family homes. So
100%. On the due diligence side, before going into these properties, what did that look like? Like, what are the key things you would sort of assess first? Because people who are doing this, that are doing it wrong, they're not doing this bit before they buy. So can you give some tips around the due diligence before actually putting an offer in?
I think always start with knowing the suburb, like knowing is it a great place to live? Like I think that's like, you know, I always try and buy properties in a place where I'd be happy to live. Even if it's like, if it was Mackay, like a street or an area, like a nice street. But so basically suburbs, you know, utilities, facilities, what's around, cafes. And then in terms of then there's always the research. So I would speak to every agent and ask who's buying, what do they want. So then you know what to design and what to build.
Yep.
So, and I always design all my own floor plans. Like I actually design the floor plans as well. But, you know, so it was always that research to me was key because, like, you know, I think one of those things, like an example of speaking to the agents was when I was building in one of these areas, we were looking at, you know, we were doing 4 bedrooms, and then we were looking at 4 bedrooms, and the agent said, everyone who's buying here is downsizing. So then we went, okay, well, downsizing, big walk-in robe, you know, 3 bedrooms. You know, you don't necessarily need the 4 bedrooms, but you know, you want more the property that will really suit the people, the buyers. So the research is really who's buying, the facilities in the area. And then also obviously price, like what is a realistic price? Like doing your due diligence, doing like literally plugging all the figures into a spreadsheet and working out what a realistic sale price is, not an inflated one, like the realistic, and then maybe even take, you know, 50K off that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, does it stack, you know?
Yeah, that's a key one, isn't it? It's got to stack.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise you're just wasting time.
So you'd make sure it stacks before even putting an offer in.
100%. And when you've done that a few times, it's actually, you know, it's really quick.
2 really big things I took away out of that. Product market fit.
Yep.
Big one. I get a lot of developers just hit me up, the savvy ones. They'll ask me, what are the buyers wanting at the moment?
Yeah.
Because it's literally a 90-day turner. Like, every 90 days, I'm finding buyers are wanting something different, or there's some new trend, or you know, it's
the demographics
changing. Yeah, 100%. So product market fit, know your market. So key one there is you are trying to appeal to the market, not what Ania necessarily. You know,
always appeal to the market. You know, and that goes with design as well. You know, I don't design for me. I design for something that I'd be happy to live with, because I think most people, if you're happy to live in there, but I don't design colours for me. I design, well, I think they are. It is my colours, but I design for what most people want. It's like the majority, 80%, like my rule is always 80% of people walk in here and find nothing offensive, and really, and love the home. You know, you want 80% of people to walk in and just start imagining their furniture in the home.
Yeah, I love that. Product market fit. Great tip. And then second to that, one thing I found is, you were doing your research and due diligence before you buy it, basically, before you even go in.
And you might even add that to your contract, like a due diligence term, especially if you want to speak to council and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're going into if you want to see if that's, because you can get lodgement meetings as well, like if you are planning to lodge, things with council. So
interesting. So this is all sort of, you're going through that space now. You're doing a few times. You're on the coast now, doing it.
Yep.
Seeing some success. I'm assuming. Yep. What was the next step then? Like, and where does Zephyr and Stone come into it?
So it went from houses to then duplexes, and then we did some 5-packs.
So more like small scale development,
waterfront townhouses.
Awesome.
And Zephyr and Stone was just like a hobby or something that started up on the side.
Really?
Like, I think like
a little Instagram page or something.
Yeah,
wow.
And started sharing tips and things, and it just grew. So then that became something that I enjoyed it. So it was something that I grew, and then I sort of started to analyze what was really hard at the beginning for me. And that was like, knowing what paint color to choose, how to do this, like the information, the stuff that the questions that you don't even know to ask.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. Like, you don't even know to ask that question. You don't know that could possibly be a mistake. So those questions started to, those questions. So, and we were being asked so many questions that we, it was basically, so that, that's what we started sharing information about. We're being asked questions about, and then
you just share
the business evolved to actually creating, digital products where we sort of have all that information. So you can create your own design. It's, guides, cheat sheets with all the information that you probably don't even think about. You don't know to ask the mistakes you're likely to make, and all the information's in there.
Unreal. So where Zephyr and Stone is now, we'll touch on, which is epic. So it started off literally, you're doing your own little flips, and it turned into small scale developments. You're just learning. You obviously started Instagram. People are like, oh, what are you doing? What's your tip? You'd reply back, kind of thing. And then is that in a nutshell?
Well, no, I think we started the Z&S tip, like coined the Z&S tip, right from the get go. Like that was just something that, because I don't know, I feel like I like teaching. I don't know if I'm a good teacher, but I do enjoy doing it. So it was just sort of like, it was easy, and it's just something I enjoyed. So we started sharing that. So then, because we were sharing tips, people were asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, love it.
So then it got to the point where it was like, we need to write this down somewhere, because we can't just answer so many questions every day, and that's why we created these products too.
So sound like your mission was just adding value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adding value and just sharing information, because I think if you're passionate about something, you love talking. I love talking about it, so you want to share that information and talk about it all the time.
Great tip there. Huge takeaway, because I'm seeing a lot of really successful people in the space doing developments and duplexes, and they're starting to promote and use the power of social media, marketing, branding, giving their houses names and stuff like that. And the big thing I took away from there is potential to turn it into more than a hobby. And it sounds like the core, though, it can add value. I see the ones who are doing it really well. They do. They put the Q&As up, and they just get smashed with questions, and they're just adding value to people in that space. So that's a really good tip there. So just quickly, Zephyr, where'd that name come from?
So Zephyr and Stone, because I started my business with my sister. And she stepped out now because she's doing a lot of other things. But she actually came up with the name.
Oh, cool.
So it was it was just, I think it came down to trying to find a million names. Everything was taken on Instagram. She came up with this name. We were like, it's very generic. It's it was just sounded like a brand, and
it does.
Came from there.
It's pretty catchy.
Yep.
And then so Zephyr and Stone starts getting some traction.
Yep.
Where was the point where it turned full time? Like what?
I think it really turned full time probably about just only 2 to 3 years ago. And I mean, it's still not full time, because I still do property on the side. So, and it sort of goes hand in hand with that, because we share projects. And So, you know, it's very like
So it's nearly like a vertical from what you're already doing. Yeah,
it is.
Yep.
It is. And I think I'm someone who likes being busy and loves having a million things on the go. So for me, yeah, 2 to 3 years ago it turned full time, and it's more something that I've been more concentrating on, and even more so the last 6 months. I'm currently redesigning the website.
Awesome.
Redesigning products, and because I think as any brand does, you shift. Things change, the market changes, and you see new opportunities. So
love it. Well, talking off air, when you're explaining it to me, the easiest way to put it, I really love this home design hub.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is you're creating a Zephyr and Stone to be like a hub. If you're want to get into the home design space or do flips and that, you can go to one spot.
Yep.
And then it should have like all the facets of the journey within that. Is that kind of correct? Yeah.
Exactly. Like tools, basically a lot of tools like for like whether it's, working out your budget, working out how much your project will cost, all sorts of tools to help you plan and organize your project, tools to, and then cheat sheets. And we also sell color schemes. So like,
awesome.
If you, you've got an idea of what you want, but you don't know which tile to choose, which paint to use.
Good idea.
It's got everything listed. So it's literally, this is what it's going to look like. These are the tiles, paint. And, that can save you a lot of time. It definitely saves you a lot of time. It can save you so much money because if you choose the wrong colours,
I know,
it's so expensive. Even paint's a cheap and easy thing, but even to repaint a house, it's a lot of money. And you want to get that, you want to end up with a home that you love. And then if you need to sell or you want to sell, you can sell easily. Like people walk in and goes, everything just looks right.
Yeah,
so
100%. And the plan with Zephyr and Stone, we're talking over there, like is digital product kind of
yes,
you reckon? Yeah,
definitely.
we're just talking off air, like I love the digital education space, digital product space. I just think it's a very scalable. You can impact a lot of people at scale as well, high leverage. So what were you thinking 5 years? Ideally, you'd love to have Zephyr and Stone if we're looking forward thinking.
Definitely. I've got a lot of ideas, so
yeah.
I won't go too far ahead.
Don't give too much.
Basically, just to be doing what we're doing now, but just have a lot more really products that really are even better and more focused on different spaces. Because I think people definitely. I'm feeling that the thing that we tried to create with Zephyr and Stone with our products is products that are probably more, you don't have to buy a whole course.
Yes.
You can buy just the part that you need. Like you don't necessarily want a whole home design course. Some people do, and that's great. And, that's a product for some people. But, some people just want a bathroom course or a bathroom cheat sheet to do certain things because they've chosen their tiles and other things and they just want certain information. So to build our products so that it's got everything for, in 5 years to have, it'll be soon about have all the products so you can do everything in the home, and then to have even more, share a lot more information. I'm currently working on a whole lot of content which will really give homeowners even more information on different, which goes into, the part of me that loves the whole property development and that aspect, because that is a big part of designing.
Yeah.
You're designing your home, but you've got an agenda, whether it's your dream home and you just want it to be perfect, or whether you want to flip it and you want 5 people at the auction because your home looks that great. So, I think to have products that really appeal to everyone, or like products that target all those different needs of people, definitely.
Is where you want to really impact. That's awesome. Just quickly, Ania, where do you get your drive from, you think?
I don't know. I've always been pretty driven. I don't know. I don't like not being busy. I'll do anything but sit down. So, I don't know. I'm motivated by. I think it's like I think some people jump out of a plane for adrenaline. I think I love creating something new, and just I think like I don't think I can ever imagine stopping doing what I'm doing, because I just love creating something new and building something new, and that's to me like. That's where I get where I get my adrenaline rush from. Achieving things like fulfillment. Yeah. So I don't know where it comes from, but I just I get excited. I think you just feel good. It makes you feel good when you achieve things. So
yeah, and obviously you're doing something right. What's some key takeaways? Maybe three solid tips you think on this entrepreneurship journey you're on.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of people who listen are in the business space, or people who might be transitioning where you were literally not too long ago, getting some success. And I'd say 99% of people who are doing it, it becomes a passion, and then they're like, I would love to do this full time. What's your biggest, I guess, three biggest tips when you're throwing on the entrepreneurship habit and you want to give this a crack, like as a passion for paycheck?
Yeah, I think the first one's ask questions and ask everyone, and don't discount anyone's opinion, because like, you can still go do your own thing, but you'll always get like these little nuggets. So, you sort of really ask questions and, and use those questions to build your knowledge, or the answers to build your knowledge. I think the other thing is get good at something, but don't try and do everything yourself. So like, for me, it's design, and floor plan design. I'm really passionate about floor plan design and, the flow in a home and spaces, but don't try and do everything, but get really good at something so you don't need to outsource it. Yeah. It's really hard to get good at everything.
Yeah.
So, then I think, and I suppose, it is good to know how everything works. So, and that comes back to asking questions, because, like having tiled and painted and done all those things, you sort of know a bit more what to look for. So was that 3? No, 2.
That's 2. That's 2 absolute bangers.
So ask questions, learn things, and then I think hire experts when you need to. Like be smart, and because doing something badly, having bought the right property, but then if your designs or colours not your thing, then or like in your business, like people find. I know so many people, so many of my friends. They're so adverse to risk and to buying property, and they see it as such a high risk. But it's, if you use a professional to help you do something, you use professionals where you need to, then you're just going to reduce that risk.
Reduce the risk.
So, and something like with yourself, being a buyer's agent as an example, like you don't have the emotional, like, when you're buying a property, you're emotional about it. There's no two ways about it. You either love the spot or you love the house, and so you may not be as rational as you could be. So I think, it's good to have someone who is rational and will do the bidding and also find properties for you. But yes, I think definitely hire the experts that you need, and then also, then talk to them so you learn about that process as well. But I think the first time you do something, hire an expert, ask them a million questions, and then you might be able to do some of that yourself down the track.
Wow, absolute banger tips there. So to summarize on that, what I've learnt there is get good at something, get really, I call it like turn pro.
Yes.
Turn pro in something.
Yes.
What you realize then, there's parts of turning pro that you really enjoy on a micro level. Yep. You can outsource the others, right?
Yep.
So you can triple down on the one you actually enjoy. That's one part. Be curious, learn, have a growth mindset. And then the last one I absolutely love, hire experts to reduce the risk.
Yep.
I always say this, like people always get so much satisfaction when they use our business and whatnot. And someone said it the other day, and I've been using it a lot, is like it's like you pay an insurance premium for your pet, right? Or whatever. Like people pay money for an insurance premium. When it comes to buying a property or designing a property, where the stakes are not in the hundreds, they're in the hundreds of thousands. It's just like paying an insurance premium to make sure you're going to minimize the risk, isn't it? It's still wild, eh? People will outsource a mechanic or a personal trainer, but they won't outsource a design expert or get help to put together a home.
And you've probably been through more properties than like most people. Yeah. And how many properties have you been through where you go, like someone spent $500,000, $1 million, and it's not amazing. And I'm like, so, if you're going to go and spend that much money, $30,000 to like for an interior designer or, whatever for a builder or a project manager on site, rather than project managing yourself, is such a small investment to then, be the best house in the street.
Yeah. And on the back end, I love, and you've got the mindset, I can tell already, you got to be looking at things in a net position.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
after investments, after costs, where
Yes.
you're in a net
Yeah, definitely.
position. And
Always.
that's what I'm seeing the best do in your space is they got the net in mind.
Yes.
They got the take home profit.
Yeah.
You know, they're working backwards from that. So really key tips there. Anya, before we finish off, I just want to talk a little bit on design now. Look, I put my hand up. I love property. I can sense deals good. I feel I'm getting better with design, but it changes so quickly. And I'm on the Pinterest. I'm trying to get my interior design acumen up. Where are we at? We're in 2023. Give us your take on where, I guess, maybe or just generalized property is at the moment. Like, what trends are you seeing popping? What are you seeing maybe not off the chain, but like, you know, what are you seeing as popping at the moment in the design world?
I think people want an interior design home now because of Pinterest, because of nobody wants just an ordinary home anymore. They want the extra finishes. They want wall lights and all these little features. So that's a big thing. True. If you're if you're renovating a property, and you don't have to go overboard, but I think you want to have a few of those features. I think also, and this is just my personal thing with design, I always try and opt for, if you're restricted with your footprint or like, your land size or your building envelope, I think I always try and do well-proportioned bigger rooms rather than trying to squeeze too many bedrooms in.
That's good. Great tip.
Yeah, because I think there's always, even though you've got to build to your demographics, there's always people who want extra bedrooms or less. But I think small bedrooms, nobody wants small bedrooms. Yeah. So I think you're always better off having one less bedroom and then having people want a walk-in robe now. They want a butler's pantry, scullery, or those little things. And I think if you're designing a property, to think always, I always think, when you work out your demographics and what people want, you've got that list, then you and you're designing the home, you make sure everything that buyers expect, the demographics you've worked out who's buying, everything is on that list. You don't not include, like, if it's all people downsizing and you don't not put a walk-in robe in, because it's most properties in the suburb might have one, so you don't want to be the one that doesn't. Yes. And then you might put something that people don't expect.
Yeah.
So, that little feature where all of a sudden your property is now really, whether it's a little built-in bar or something that people don't expect. Yeah. But I think, design trends definitely, people want something that's almost Instagrammable.
So like, true.
Yeah, they do. And they do. And I think also, like, where we are now post-COVID as well, people are wanting homes that are more calming and relaxing, and that's sort of being seen also across, colour palettes, where it's more like the greens and the warmer colours coming back in, and they sort of colours cycle, but greys and sort of beiges where they're not too yellow never really go out of style. So, I always try and, our designs are always very neutral, very, a blank canvas almost for people to come into. Some people might go, oh, it's boring, and that's fine. Like, you've got to design for you as well. Like, you don't have to design a neutral home. You might just go, oh, I want green tiles and everything else. But I try and do the colour in artwork and in furniture and things that are sort of easy to replace. And if you walk out and take all your colourful stuff with you, it's a blank canvas for the next person who might be a minimalist.
Jeez, I love that tip. That's good. So keep that on trend sort of contrasted colours, what's in at the moment, but then you can go a bit riskier with the furniture.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good
tip. You can have a lot of colour. You
True.
can have, soft furnishings. You can even put that into curtains and things, and you can also do it with paint.
True.
So paint's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Things like tiles, cabinetry, all that stuff, and they're the things that you want to spend money on. Your tiles, your cabinetry, because they're a bigger mission to get out, like
True.
even carpet's reasonably easy to replace. Paint's not too hard, but if you start ripping up tiles or flooring, you can't. So that's where you sort of want to invest money.
I was going to ask, that leads into my next question. Anya, no budget on one piece of the home you would go all out on to make the biggest impact?
I've never been no budget. I think because I've been developing to flip.
You've always got
So
the
I'm always like,
smart spend.
I'm always like, you know, we've got talking about a spreadsheet for before you start. You know, one of the products we sell is Project Budget Tracker, which is like, you know, where you work out how much your project will cost. But in there, like I've been using that for 20 years and then I turned it into a product. You know, put everything in, how much everything will cost, realistic. And then you make sure you don't go over budget. But I think
if you were to
if I was going to
allocate,
I think
good portion
where
too.
to put definitely tiles, and cabinetry and stone, because and that goes down to storage. People want, like, you know, even in the low, you know, the financial crisis we had in, when was that, 2008 or 2000?
Yeah.
You know, we were still flipping, buying properties and making money because our homes were the best. And I'm not saying they were the best. Like, there was a lot of great homes, but in the suburbs, they were amongst the best. So they were the ones that were selling. And, you know, they weren't getting the prices they got at other times, but they had heaps of storage. And storage was a massive thing where you walked into the laundry and there wasn't just, you know, a tub. It was all, and people, and, you know, that's really appealing. And it costs a little bit more, but in the whole scheme of your project, let's say it's 20 grand or 30 grand. It might be a little bit more now, but, you know, it was probably less then. It's really, you know, somewhere that I'd invest in, and the things that I wouldn't spend too much on, I'd always buy quality. I'd never do tapware that wasn't quality. But you know, if you're trying to budget and you know, you want to make sure you use good brands, but you know, you don't have to use the best brands, but you use good quality brands that are going to last.
But still have that sharp look.
And have the beautiful look and things like that. But I think, you know, obviously kitchen spaces. But I'd be actually, you know what I'd be really investing in is your floor plan and the flow in your home. Because good bones, moving a wall, moving plumbing, a badly designed space. You know, you could even have, I suppose, slightly cheaper tiles. But if the space feels wrong, like if there's, you know, then that's something you can't fix. You know, you can, but it's very expensive. So always my, you know, first port of call is, you know, make the home feel great, feel good.
And that comes off a good floor plan. I just had a big perspective shift. I'm going to use that one because very true. Very true. I get through property, right? And I'm like, right, this is the one. And I get through with a client, aesthetically, perfect. Storage, yes, Matt, the living room's at the wrong end and that's going to take X amount to fix up. You're exactly right. But on the flip side, I've had clients come through, they fall in love with a property because of the floor plan. They're like, we budgeted in the cost that they didn't like the tiles or the renovate. They can fix that. They can't fix the floor plan.
Or they can, but it just seems like such a big mission.
It's a big mission,
And it's something that's really disruptive whilst, you know, a lot of people, everyone's on a budget. And I think, you know, you can renovate, you know, you want to design everything straight away at the onset and know exactly what you're doing, but then you can stage it. You know, you can do, you know, bedrooms or a bathroom first. So, but you can't fix a really bad floor plan. And it's so much money. And then you really need a builder and project manager, whilst renovations you might be able to manage yourself. Wow,
great tip. I really like that one because it's very true. I heard you say before as well, a good one, I forgot to highlight, you talked around the room space. That's another one. People they try to cram too much into a house. And again, I've had clients that talk around rooms way too small, non-negotiable. Sorry, not for us. So take some time looking at that floor plan, spacious bedrooms. Well, it is a space. You spend some time and you want to feel.
You want to make sure the furniture fits and you're not walking around sideways trying to.
Great tip. And just to finish, what's the legacy piece for you, Ania? Like, where you're obviously driven, you got big goals, but what about personally? And you're going to keep buying property, flipping, doing your thing. Like, what's the legacy piece for you? You think?
I think I always struggle with balance. I think myself because I love what I do and I'm so passionate about it. But so I think for me, I need to find more balance. But also also comes down to, you know, hiring and letting things go. You know, in your business that you know wanted to control too much. But I don't know if I answered the question there.
No. Legacy piece. Yeah. So that's where you want to
that's where I want to go personally.
Yeah,
but I mean,
love that.
And for people, like, you know, just to really educate themselves, if I was going to pass something on, just to educate yourself or hire experts and, you know, speak to people and get as much information as you can. So,
And it sounds like you want to become that hub for people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For, you know, whoever needs that information, definitely we have valuable stuff.
I was just going to say on that that balance piece, because I always find this with any high performer or someone who's driven, it's a hard one. How do you find balance? Just give us a quick idea of, I love chatting to people's like habits or key habits. Like are you into routines? Like how do you keep at this pace? Like what do you put it down to?
I don't know. I exercise. I have to exercise every day.
Morning or arvo?
Early morning.
Yeah, it's the best
early
day.
Morning. Yeah, just it's your own time. And I think for me, my friends, like I love socializing and
so that fills
time,
your cup
that
up.
downtime. Yeah, definitely. So having that's definitely helps with balancing, just getting away, whether it's for a weekend or a day, and switching off as much as you can. You know, sometimes you can't completely switch off, but really trying to switch off. But yeah, I think for me, routine-wise, definitely exercise and then just getting time out and living on the Gold Coast. It's so easy because you just look out at your window and you've got beach and everything else. So you know, living in a place where is sort of helps level and ground you a little bit, helps a lot. You know, if you're in a city, it's a lot harder to do.
Yeah. I just want to understand how are you going with the moving from more the technician, a CEO kind of. You know, you said there before, let go to grow kind of thing.
Yep.
How are you managing that phase?
I'm managing it by working with some amazing people. Like that's really, I think, I don't have all the business skills that, like, because, you know, you don't, I mean, that's something that I never had really, I don't think. Like, I mean, I had a business buying property. So I think hiring experts has been the best thing I've done to really help me focus on what I need to focus, because, you know, when you've got a business and it's so, like my business is quite broad, it's very easy to get sidetracked and to be working on 10 things, and you sort of need to stop and go, right, what is our main focus right now? What do we need to do? And hiring experts that can really lead the way. I think that's really been the most beneficial thing for me, and that's my focus.
Unreal.
And is helping me really develop my business.
Sounds like you got a lot of clarity in where you're going as well. I find a lot of successful people just kind of know where they're going, right?
Try to.
Yeah, 100%. We'll finish on, just had a few questions coming during the week. Just sort of short fire answers or your best piece of wisdom you can pass on. What about this one? What made you take steps into creating a business? And what was just Ania's reason from working for someone for working for yourself?
I just think it happened. I don't think it was like a conscious decision. I think it just
Fell
happened
into
over
it.
time, and I just loved doing, started doing something and loved doing it. So then turned it into the main thing as soon as possible.
What's your what project are you most proud of? If you had to, I know it's like picking your favorite child, but what is there a project that really stands out?
I don't know. I feel like there's a couple of projects that are on the drawing board at the moment that I'm really excited about. Probably my home, which I don't really put on social media. I love my home. It was bought in one of the best streets in my suburb at the time that I think, and built my home, and it's like 9 years old, but I still feel like it looks new and everything.
Love it.
And so I think that's my favourite, but I don't really show that.
Yeah. And fair enough. And what about how would you describe your design style? If someone was saying, Ania, what's your design style?
Probably timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
trying
good.
to.
It's good answer.
Yeah, timeless.
Yep.
One word answer.
Yep. I think you've touched on it before, but what's your favourite room in the house to style?
Probably to style is probably the living room, definitely, because you want to make it like there's so many things you think about in a living space, is like if you've got a TV, if you've got a view, to make sure you make the most of those, and sofas so you can get in there easily. But then also kitchens, definitely, like kitchens are, but that's more design as well, I think, to make them really functional, but then aesthetically beautiful as
Beautiful
well.
as well,
'Cause
yeah.
That's the ultimate balance.
Yeah.
Functionality, so everything's in the right place. And like, you know, if you're into entertaining, you got the entertaining zone, you got the cooking zone, you got the prep zone, and then it all looks good as well. Like that's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Love that. And just before we go into a little fast five, I just really want to say, Ania, that was amazing. First of all, I was blown away with the amount of knowledge. But it's always good when I reflect back on each guest and you sort of realize it's not like a luck thing. It's not like an overnight success. It's great for me as well because I feel like I work hard and you realize everyone who's doing well, they've grinded it out. It's no one's just an overnight success, hey?
Yep.
And I love that, you know, you've been at this since your 20s basically. And before that, you're at seminars and learning. So for anyone listening, same thing each week. I've been noticing with all the great guests we're having, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a grind. What you see now, it could be decades of back end work behind the scenes. So I just really want to acknowledge you and for your knowledge as well. There's some things I wrote down that I'm actually selfishly going to take into.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be taking things away from you. Don't worry.
No, I really appreciate you jumping on, Ania. It's been great to have you.
Thank you.
And we like to finish on first thing that pops to mind. Fast five of any dwelling type, any location in the world. All right. So when I say this, so first one is holiday home.
Yep.
Any dwelling type, any location in the world. Where is it for you? This is your home that you've been working hard. This is your balance home. This is
it would be like a beach, definitely a beach house.
Yeah.
Like,
whereabouts?
Waterfront or beach house. You know, on the coast here, maybe northern New South Wales.
Yeah.
Or like South Stradbroke. I spent a lot of time over there.
Yeah, good spot over there, hey?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, but that's more thinking locally, like as a holiday house. But I mean, also little.
You can go worldwide.
Oh, worldwide. You know, I love, you know, being born in Poland. I've, spent a lot of time in Europe, Italy. Like, there's so many beautiful. Like, I love architecture and things like that. So I think, and I've travelled not a fair bit, and you know, even places like. I mean, for holiday homes, I think somewhere like Italy or something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
I could see a nice banger and Amalfi coast up
that'd
there.
do.
Yeah. What about Hen's party? Where would that be?
Oh God,
where's the party house? Doesn't have to be a drunken party. Could be a girls' brunch. Could
maybe,
be a lot.
maybe on Hamilton Island.
Yeah, love
like
Hamo.
That. Yeah, Hamo's pretty.
Hamo's
cool.
great.
I spent a lot of time on the Whitsunday, so Hamo's.
How good is it up there?
Yeah,
hey,
great spot.
Been to Airlie that many times. Hamo. What's that other Whitehaven?
Yeah, Whitehaven's
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Next one is investment. This pure numbers, pure like cash flow property anywhere in the world. Where do you reckon you'd look at buying?
I think definitely Australia
it's
because
a good market.
Well, I think it's a good market, and it's like even you know, economically, like micro and macro level. Like I think we're a pretty safe place.
Very.
And I don't know the markets overseas, and I'd always like that. It's that whole research thing. You know, the more information you have, you can always buy a good property in any market. You can always buy, you know, I mean, you know, within reason, but like. So I think just, you know, locally or in looking at a suburb, but always, you know, within close to the coast or CBD, like, you know, that, you know, in that
middle ring,
out
inner
of the
ring,
inner ring, that's right. You've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad or
something?
Yeah. I was 16.
100%.
So, yeah, I think just definitely, and for me, Gold Coast is hugely booming and it's got so much potential. And I think when I arrived here 15 years ago, Gold Coast was very transient still. Like
massive,
people bought investment properties here or moved here for 2 years because they got a contract and left. But then even the people that I met that had moved here at that time actually haven't left. And now people are moving here because they can work from home or they only need to travel interstate for a day here or there. Like I think the Gold Coast definitely I would be investing in 100% and I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's wild at the moment. It's I'm obviously very, very biased and I've invested in this city as well and parts all over southeast Queensland. But what I'm noticing around the Gold Coast is we're still considered a regional city.
Yeah.
We're Australia's biggest regional city. What the thing that blows my mind, if people have seen the migration numbers behind the scene, it's madness. And what I noticed since COVID, people are lifestyle focused now.
Yeah.
Like they're realizing, hey, we can work from home. Let's get our kids into a great area to grow up in, you know, rather than weather and things like that. And then the last one is, I heard you say it, which I really like, is supply and demand. So we've got an ocean to the east. We've got the hinterland to the west. There's nowhere you can build a house and land development. There's nowhere. Like you got to knock down.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you imagine all the numbers coming in, and then with the limited supply, that's what pushes everything up. So you're exactly right.
And you can't create waterfront either.
You can't.
So
yeah,
that's capped. You know?
Exactly right. And then lastly, sounds like you might be already there, but where's the forever home, you think?
I think I'm already my forever home.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, never saying it. I don't know. Like, I'm always open to anything, but I think I'm really happy with where we are. So, where I am. So, yeah, Northern Gold Coast.
Yeah.
I love Burleigh though, but you know, it's, you know, I've got a jet ski and I love getting out on the water. Yeah. So it's very easy. You know, you can get up to Peel Island, Moreton Bay.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just so good. You can go out the Spit.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah.
So that's the upside of, you know, the Northern Gold Coast.
Unreal.
Burleigh's got the beaches.
Unreal. And lastly, biggest tip to buyers, here we are in 2023 for the back end of this year. What key takeaway could you give to buyers out there right now?
Well, just buy the right property. You know, like make sure you know, don't overpay. Like, don't jump into anything. Do your research or hire an expert that will be able to get you the house that's right for you. I think, you know, I think I'm a firm believer in you make your money when you buy the property.
100%.
Like, you buy the wrong property or pay too much for something, then you just, you make your money when you buy, and then having that plan and working out what you're going to do. So if you're looking to make money in property, even if you're just buying and holding long term, you know, then you buy for capital growth, you know, or if you're looking to flip quickly, then you're looking for you know, a high growth area. So know what you're after, know whether you're looking for high growth or long term hold, because two different types of investing.
Definitely.
And then, you know, do your research or hire an expert so that you can definitely buy well.
Wow, you finished on an absolute cherry on top. One of my favorite quotes is, "You make your money on the way in."
Yeah, definitely.
And you can supercharge a property result through making your money on the way in. You said another one, playing the long game as well is a big one. Sometimes not a get rich quick, but the one I liked is you can supercharge as well. Has it got X factor? Can you cosmetically uplift? Can you subdivide? Has it got a bit of X factor, maybe a corner block?
Yes.
So it's not only the dwelling that could be producing cash flow, but you could build on it. You could, there's a lot
100%.
of gold in that episode, Ania. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to see what Zephyr and Stone has in store. Where can people keep up to date with what's happening? There's some cool changes coming up. Where can people stay up to date?
Basically, Instagram is probably our biggest platform where we, you know, but also our website. Our website's great because we obviously post blogs every week, and you know, we're building a whole new bit of content in the blog section, which will have a lot more property tips. And not property tips as such, but more things that are relevant for people who are just designing a home, but things to consider from experts like yourself. I'm hoping we can feature you. So, you know, but definitely Instagram and our websites are the biggest places to find us.
Unreal. Well, thanks again, Ania. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for all your wisdom.
Thank you. It's been lots of fun.